It's a rainy, dreary day today, and so I am in the kitchen. And today I'm going to just go through a few things that I am doing. And let's start with sourdough. Now, this is my sourdough starter. This is one that I am making for somebody else. And I have let it rise, and I'm going to now discard. And so normally you can take what you discard and you can make other things from it. You have all kinds of sourdough discard recipes out there, and you can make a lot of different things with this. Anything from pancakes to cookies to anything. And so you don't necessarily have to have an active sourdough starter for the discard recipes. So in this jar, I'm going to take out all but just a tiny bit. I'm going to leave just a little bit around the edges, and then I can put that in the refrigerator and it will be good to go for a week. And I'm going to wipe off a little bit around the edges to make sure that the lid doesn't get stuck. And as you can see, it is all ready to go. Now, this is my main sourdough starter, and I have these little things that go around the top. It makes it so easy because you don't have to worry about having a rubber band and a towel to put on the top. It's just all in one. And so I'm going to do the same thing with my main sourdough starter here, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that into a jar. Now, I'm not going to be using this discard for recipes, and that's why I'm putting it into a jar. And what's in the jar, I will use on making dog treats or goat treats, and the animals absolutely love it. I'm going to set that to the side, and now I'm going to work on another thing that I need to make in the kitchen. And I have some avocados here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them up into smaller pieces, and I'm going to add a lot of flavoring and seasoning and come up with an avocado dish. Now, avocados is not something that I normally enjoy eating, but being on the ketogenic diet that I'm on right now, it has been a really great fat to get into my diet. And I think that spicing it up with a lot of seasonings that I enjoy really does help the flavor. I have taken the inside part out and I am scooping the rest out with a spoon. And it comes out very easily from the skin, and it is really easy to work with. Now that I have the skins all off, I can now take the avocado and slice it up into chunks. I'm taking the avocado and putting that into a bowl so that I'm able to put any type of spices inside and then mix it all up, and hopefully it will be really tasty. Today I'm going to add some salt and some cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper is really good for your health. It's really good for blood pressure. It will have effects on low blood pressure and high blood pressure. And so also added some celery salt and some pepper, and I'm going to mix that all up and see if that is tasty. It actually turned out really good, and I like to eat it with a salad. And so I'm just going to put that in the refrigerator, and I'm going to move on to my next thing I need to do in the kitchen. So you remember the sourdough starter that I had just a moment ago? The jar that I put the discard in? Well, I've gotten my cast iron skillet here, and I am going to put all of that inside, and then I'm going to be making some dog treats. If I was making goat treats, I would add some goat medication into this so that they get it when they eat it. But today I'm going to add my bran that I get from the rye bread that I grind down and sift. And so this was what I had from the last time, and in a little while I'm going to show you what I do and how I get that bran from the rye berries. I'm going to take this cast iron skillet and put it in the oven for about 30 to 45 minutes on about 400 degrees. Here you can see that I have some cabbage, and cabbage grows here really well, and we did grow a lot of cabbage this year. It grows a lot in the colder weather, and so I have a head of cabbage here, and I'm going to be making some slaw. Now I'm going to cut this into chunks, and then I can put this into a food processor and blend it down to very small chunks. Now this isn't your average food processor. This is a manual food processor. I really like it because if SHTF happens and you don't have electricity, you will still be able to use it. As you can see here, it is very finely chopped, and then I'm going to continue doing this until all of the head of cabbage is done, and then I will be able to move on to the next ingredients. My next ingredient is carrots. Now, I can't chop this up into small pieces and put this into the food processor. The carrot is so large and chunky, it just will not do correctly. And I will use a potato peeler actually on the carrot and shred it into pieces and then cut it down even farther from there. The next ingredient is onions. Now I already have some onions cut up, so I'm just going to throw those in this food processor, this manual food processor, and get those down to tiny bits. And I'm going to add that to the bowl for the coleslaw. The next ingredient in my coleslaw recipe is sugar. Now I can't have sugar on the ketogenic diet, so I use an alternative called Swerve. It is amazing. It tastes just like sugar, but it does not spike your glycemic index like sugar does. Next up on the list of ingredients is white vinegar. Now you can use apple cider vinegar if you have this, but white vinegar works just fine. And then I'm going to add some celery salt. Now this is celery salt that I made from my celery this past year that I grew. And it's really simple. I just add the leaves of the celery and I dry them and I add them to a bowl, and then I add some good quality salt like Redmond's real salt. Add some black pepper and then stir it all together. At this point, it's time to add your mayonnaise. I really enjoy making my own mayonnaise out of avocado oil. It is very, very easy to make, and it's much cheaper and healthier for you than what you can buy in the store. Now don't make the same mistake that I made. I put everything into a smaller bowl and had to transfer it out into this larger bowl. This larger bowl helps me to get everything mixed in really, really well. When I'm done mixing, I just put it back into the same bowl that it came from and put a lid on the top and set it in the refrigerator and let everything meld together. Of course, the kitchen tasks do not end there. I have an empty rye jar here. This is what I feed my sourdough starter with. And so I need to grind the rye berries and get them into a flour. Now I do have a grinder for wheat berries and for rye berries, but today I'm going to do it the simple way. Because we do have electricity, I can use my Vitamix. Vitamix works great on so many things. I have tried other blenders before, but they just do not grind the berries into flour. In case the electricity goes out, I can always rely on my manual grinder that I have for my wheat and for my rye berries. Once I have this ground down, then I have to sift it. A lot of people will try to use this flour for making whatever they're making, but you've got to sift it to get the bran out. You cannot use a regular sifter that you would normally strain water out of something. You've got to use a very fine mesh sifter like I have here. Once it is all sifted, I can then put that into my jar to use for my sourdough starter. It fits into the jar perfectly. You can see that the flour is much finer than the bran. It has been 45 minutes, so I am pulling the dog treats out of the oven. They are perfect and it smells great, especially to someone who's on the ketogenic diet and cannot have bread. I am cutting them into pieces so that it is easier for me to pull off a little bit at a time to give to the dogs. As you can see with the dogs, it is a hit. I appreciate you spending some time in the kitchen with me today. I hope you found this helpful. SHTF Survival Homestead Teaching Farm thanks you for watching this video. Please continue to help us help you by liking, sharing, and subscribing.